cities such as Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and the region of Hong Kong. 像这么著名的城市以及区域，对全世界人来说应该不是很陌生。Majority of the population across the continent must be familiar with the names. Mainly, these are the important and critical economic centers in China. 随着中国不断的发展，越来越多的国家，尤其是欧洲国家，开始倾向于跟中国的企业合作 because they believe the rising of China is able to bring better and greater opportunities to themselves and also to the world. 但是在本期节目里面 before we get started, I want to ask you a question. If I say the name of the country called 乌拉圭, what are the things do you know about this nation? How about the younger generations? 有没有知道乌拉圭的文化到底和中国的文化有哪些类似之处？那么况且中国跟乌拉圭目前为止在哪些方面又做出了一些非常卓越的 partnership？ 这些问题都是Will在采访今天这位特殊而重要的嘉宾之前一直在去想知道并且想去了解的问题。Of course, Uruguay is one of the important countries in Latin America. Just because we don't hear them a lot, it doesn't necessarily mean the country is not important. 就像刚才我有讲过的，并不代表我们没有听过或者说很少听过关于中国和乌拉圭的事情，那么也并不意味着这个国家对于中国来说不重要。So ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this brand new and exciting episode of The Missing Piece. 那么我很荣幸地告诉大家，今天做客我们非说不可的嘉宾是中国驻乌拉圭的大使。我通过电话的方式非常荣幸 I am honored to invite the ambassador of Uruguay to join our show by phone. 那么在我们谈论的期间，我们交流了很多的话题，比如说乌拉圭到底跟中国目前为止有哪些友好的关系，以至于有哪些更有意义的合作，包括乌拉圭现在的年轻人他们是如何看待 Chinese millennials and the country of China。 所以说我希望大家看完本期的节目之后，你真的可以从大使的这种谈论或分享当中能够学到一些关于中国和乌拉圭一些不解之缘，以及我们现在大使每天在去做的事情，就是去宣传中国和乌拉圭的文化以及历史和经济之间的交流。 Remember, the world it's always getting bigger and bigger. So that's why it's so important for all of us to understand where we're coming from and where we're going in the future. In this episode, I can't wait to share the conversation with you between me and the ambassador. And I hope, 我希望在你看完这个节目之后，真的可以学习到很多有用的东西。Again, everyone, this is Will from Beijing, China. Thank you for watching. And I hope you enjoy the conversation and you are able to tell your friends and your neighbors and the people around you about the important relationship between China and Uruguay. Because in the future, 在不远的将来，中国一定会跟更多的拉丁美洲的国家有着更密切、更有意义而且更有深远的合作。Looking forward to hearing from you. And now, enjoy the conversation between me and the ambassador. 我们今天就来谈论中国和乌拉圭的不解之缘。Uruguayan president, who has long pushed for an agreement with China to boost the export of key products, such as beef, revealed at the beginning of the year that China had made a formal proposal to push forward the process. It has been confirmed that the country could conduct a formal study regarding the proposed trade deal with China to be presented by the end of the year. Meanwhile, China is already Uruguay's main trading partner, buying some 30% of its exports, including 56% of its meat, and based on the report. Now, what is the future relation between these two countries of China and Uruguay, and how should we understand the bilateral ties between China and Uruguay as well? Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this exciting episode of The Missing Piece. Now, it's our great honor for the first time to invite Ambassador of Uruguay to China, Ambassador Fernando Lugris, join our show. Ambassador, welcome to The Missing Piece.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's truly an honor to be with you today.
Ambassador, let's talk about your current projects. I know that based on social media, you are really busy these days, especially you're traveling from cities to cities in China. Can you share with us briefly what is the purpose of your trip recently and what are you trying to accomplish?
Thank you very much for that. Uruguay's presence in China is based on the fact that we truly believe that we need to expand our image and our presence within the territory of this great country. And that is the reason why we have opened consulate generals in different areas of the Chinese territory. Let me say that the current trip that I'm undertaking started in Chongqing. Uruguay is the first Latin American and Caribbean country to have opened consulate general in the western part of China, because we are convinced that we need to go west and we need to invest in promotion in the western part of this fantastic country. And Uruguay chose the municipality of Chongqing to open up 2 years ago first consulate general of Latin America in the western part of China. My presence in Chongqing was not only to support the actions that our consulate general has been doing, but also because the municipality of Chongqing hosted this year the China Latin America Business Summit, organized by them and by CCPIT China. And that is the most important business summit where the business communities of Latin American and Caribbean countries get together with the business communities of China. We had a very big stand with the Uruguayan companies that are present in the Chinese market nowadays. And we had a lot of activities and meetings with Chongqing municipality, with the western part of China, and with China in general. So it was a very good visit with a clear scope to develop our trade relations and investment promotion actions with the western part of China. From there, we traveled to Guangzhou, where we also have a consulate general. And the southern part of China plays a very important role for the relationship between China and Uruguay. A lot of our exports are concentrated in the southern provinces. And we have a new consul general, Martin Abal, who just landed in Guangzhou. And we wanted to have a lot of coordinations with him and support him in his first meetings with the authorities and the companies in Guangdong, but also to project our actions for the next year, where this very important consulate general will undertake a lot of actions, not only in the province of Guangdong, but also in other provinces that they have in their jurisdiction. Mainly Fujian province, where we have a very important trade already, and some important companies of Uruguay and China are doing very healthy business there. But also, for instance, Hainan. Uruguay places a lot of importance to the relationship with Hainan, bearing in mind that Hainan is facing a very challenging moment in its history. This whole transformation of Hainan into a free trade port area is really challenging. It's opening up a lot of opportunities for countries like Uruguay to do new businesses with this province, and also to take advantage of the new policies in order to project our image and our projects within China from Hainan. So we had a lot of coordinations with my new consul general in order to project our actions in the southern part of China. And we also organized some video conference with our friends in Macau and also in Hong Kong, because from Guangdong we are close enough to be very active with this very important special regions of China. So it was quite a challenging visit to the southern part. And from there we came to Shanghai, where most of the trade of Uruguay with China and the investments of Chinese companies in my country is concentrated. We also have, of course, a consulate general here that is in charge of the eastern part of China. And we are expecting to receive a new consul general very soon. So we came here to welcome my new number 2 to China, Martin Orlando, and his wife, who just landed in this beautiful country. And we are having a lot of coordinations with him. And we also met some key companies and institutions. For instance, the very important Exporters Union of Uruguay, one of the major NGOs of my country, is in the process of opening up an office here in Shanghai, and we are supporting this initiative because it would be a very important institution to support the actions of the Consul General that will arrive in Shanghai in the incoming weeks. We also have a permanent pavilion of Uruguayan products here in Shanghai that we strongly recommend our friends that are listening to us to visit it in order to discover more of our beautiful products that are already here in China. Today, we are going to meet with the Uruguayan community, which is not a huge one, but it's a very lively one. A lot of Uruguayans are studying in Shanghai. Some others represent very brilliant companies, from meat factories to IT unicorns that are present here in Shanghai, doing business with the entire China. So I think it's going to be also a great occasion to know how they're experiencing this challenging moment of the pandemic, but also to know that they are doing very good business and that they are very good friends of China, and they are really facilitating the contacts and the relations between Uruguay and China. So this is, in a nutshell, what we have been doing, traveling through the 3 jurisdictions of China, and planning to go back to Beijing soon because we have a lot of activities in the capital. And also from there, we cover the northern part of China, where we have also a lot of plans for the incoming year.
Well, Ambassador, again, based on what you just described, that you, again, traveled from cities to cities and you met local officials and you encounter business owners, it's so uplifting to hear that post the pandemic, that Uruguay and China, again, one of the countries located in Latin American region that actively engage with the Chinese communities. It's so encouraging to hear that. But meanwhile, Ambassador, I have to say that today, I'm sure you are also mindful that younger generations today are actually changing not only locally, but also globally. And in China alone, there are a lot more entrepreneurs who are pushing and also motivated to bring their business outside China to really meet this global or international standard. Now, with that said, Ambassador, Uruguay, it's one of the countries that, if I may just put it this way, we don't really get a chance to hear a lot. Or at least not really the country that pop in the news frequently. But that doesn't mean that this country, it's not important to the younger generations or not important to the business owners. So the next question I want to dive into is, Ambassador, what are the motivations for Chinese, especially the entrepreneurs, to break the ground or to open the doors to Uruguay today?
Thank you very much for the question. And let me begin by saying that the fact that Uruguay is not on the news is a very good news because most of the news are negative ones.
That's
and
right.
It's really good not to be on the cover of a newspaper. Uruguay is the country with the highest GDP per capita in Latin America. We are the most stable nation in the continent, and we are a deep friend of China. That generates an environment that is very positive for more China-Uruguay exchanges. Let me say that I personally think that there are at least three areas where cooperation can boost in the incoming years. The first one is that our economies are absolutely complementary. And Uruguay, being a small country on the other side of the planet, is a very strong agricultural exporter. And let me put it this way. Uruguay nowadays is the second provider of beef, very high quality beef to China. We are the third provider of powder milk for the dairy industry here in China. We are the fourth provider of soybeans to China. We are one of the key providers of wood for the construction here in China, of pulp mill for the paper industry, and of wool for the textile industry here in China. So, being a small country on the other side of the planet, let me say that we are a very strong agricultural power, and we can produce much more. And we are looking forward to get more investments from Chinese companies on this brilliant agricultural sector of Uruguay in order to produce more products that the Chinese market needs. And of course, we also want to promote some very high quality products that the Chinese consumers are beginning to discover, like our super exclusive high-end wines, our olive oils, our honey, our fruits like the oranges and the blueberries. All those products can come to the Chinese market, and we are doing the first steps in order to bring them to this market. So our 4 offices in the territory of China are promoting the export of this kind of woods. And we think more trade could happen. And also, we are very much open for investments in the agricultural sector. So agriculture is a key sector where more things could happen in the near future. Another sector that I would like to underline is the IT sector. As I mentioned before, Uruguay is an IT strong country within Latin America. We are the first exporter of software per capita in the whole continent. We are one of the most innovative countries in the region of Latin America and the Caribbean. And we are welcome Chinese companies to do joint ventures, to get associations with ours in order to work better in the China market, where some of our companies, IT companies, are present here, like Genexus and dLocal, are doing good business in the Chinese market, but also and especially to help Chinese brilliant IT companies to do better business with Latin America or even with the Americas. Uruguay can be a platform through our IT companies for IT companies in China to penetrate the Americas market. And we are looking forward to boost this relationship between our young, brilliant people on the two sides. Another area that I wanted to mention is everything that is related to logistics. Uruguay's market is very small, but Uruguay has a very strategic position within South America. We have a network of free ports, the only free airport in South America, and a network of free trade zones, special zones for companies to do business there, not only producing woods, but also giving services to our region or to the world. So we strongly believe more and more Chinese companies have to discover the logistic advantages of Uruguay to install their business there, and from there penetrate the Latin American market. And this is in the context of the Belt and Road Initiative. And that is the
Sure.
reason why Uruguay was the first country to express its willingness to be part of the Belt and Road Initiative and sign the MOU of the Belt and Road. And we have negotiated an action plan to fully implement the Belt and Road with China. So you have to see Uruguay in the context of the Belt and Road and understand that the most stable country in South America and in Latin America and the Caribbean in general is absolutely open for Chinese companies to do business in Latin America and the Caribbean from a very, very good base. So I think those are the three areas that I wanted to underline. There are many more. For instance, the creative industries. Uruguay has a very strong filming industry. We produce a lot of beautiful films, and we are looking forward to have more associations with filming companies here in China that want to discover new places and new scenarios and new actors and actresses to do great cooperations with us. But let me say that those are the areas that we wanted to underline as good possibilities for more cooperation between the two sides.
Ambassador, thank you so much for giving us the detail. Again, I'm very glad that you mentioned the Belt and Road Initiative. Again, Ambassador, I know you're very busy. Stay with me. I got two more questions before letting you go. Now, you mentioned the Belt and Road Initiative, and we know that through the scope of study, that not only this, it's about the economic cooperation between China and with the rest of the world, but mainly one thing stands out is the cultural exchanges. Now, when we say cultural exchanges, it's really put in a simple way, Ambassador, is people to people. So from your perspective, again, since you are traveling on the road, but meanwhile you embrace this Chinese culture for years, and of course in Beijing, which is the capital city, I believe there are so many meaningful activities and events that actually promote this cultural exchange between China and Uruguay. So, Ambassador, can you briefly share with us what are some of the significant cultural activities that from the embassy or from the country has been promoting to the Chinese people?
Well, thank you very much for the question. The Embassy of Uruguay attaches strong importance to the cultural exchanges and to the people-to-people exchanges. We think those are the most important ones of our work. In the previous years, we had a long list of exchanges. A lot of artists came from Uruguay to produce their art here, to exhibit their art here. Designers came with their fashion productions, and many things were happening. Nowadays, with the pandemic, things have changed. And now we have to be very creative to continue to organize a lot of cultural activities. The Embassy of Uruguay and its network of consulates is organizing actively film festivals in universities and different cities, because this is a way that we can continue to have people to people exchanges in a moment where travels are a little bit difficult. At the same time, luckily, we have a bank of more than 200 pieces of very fine art of Uruguayan young artists here in China. And we are able to organize art exhibitions in different cities of this immense country in order to bring the work of our artists to the audience here in China. So we are continue to have a very strong presence in different fairs and exhibitions. For instance, last week we were in Wuhan attending the cultural and tourism fair of this beautiful city in Hubei province with a big stand and presenting our culture and our tourism. Since we want to continue to have a very important presence, and we are looking forward to going back to normal and to bring delegations back to China, bring our artists, bring more students, more academia. But at this moment, most of the activities are video conferences that we're trying to organize, exhibitions here with the art that we already have in China, and a lot of film festivals. So important thing is not to stop with the cultural exchanges and to get ready for a fantastic moment when the pandemic will be controlled, hopefully in the near future.
Absolutely, you're right, Ambassador. Now, my last question again, I always ask our international celebrities and luminaries who come on the show. Again, let's go back to the younger generations, Ambassador. I want to know that, again, in China, Chinese people, especially the youth, the generations, they are so passionate about discovering the culture and also the world outside their comfort zone. So my last question, I want to go back to the younger generations or the millennials, not in China, but in Uruguay. So Ambassador, how do the younger generations or the people in general from Uruguay today think of China and what make them to think or picture China this way?
Oh, I think the millennials and the younger generations are really curious about the world, and thanks to the internet, nowadays there are no clear borders, and we cannot consider ourselves to live in a distant country, even though Uruguay is the most distant country from China in the planet. So I think there's a lot of curiosity. There are more young Uruguayans who are looking forward to get to know better the Chinese culture. We have a very strong Confucius Institute in Uruguay at the University of the Republic, and more students are attending their courses because they are looking forward to understand better Chinese language and Chinese culture. And we see that there are more and more interest in coming to China for scholarships to study here and to get to know better the culture and the development. I think in Uruguay there's a clear concept that China is a very important cultural power in the world as well as an economical power. And I truly believe that the young generations are the ones who are going to make a great contribution and a big change in our friendship in the incoming years. So I really hope the students can come back to China. The sooner the better, because it's very important to have more people to people exchanges. And Europe is also a country that is absolutely open to receive more Chinese students to study Spanish, to practice and master football, because we are a power in football history, and we are very welcoming. And even though the distance is long, and this is just simply geography, we are a very good friend of China, and I really sincerely hope that we can go back to the exchanges of people to people nature that are the most important ones.
Well, Ambassador, again, thank you so much for taking your time to be on our show. And we really appreciate that you, as a diplomat, not only that you're breaking the grounds for people to know the culture of Uruguay, but also to cultivate this healthful and meaningful relationship between China and Uruguay domestically and internationally.
And I hope to see you in Beijing very soon. Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you.